You might remember that a couple months ago, I made this video about a really awesome creator on the website Scratch who has specifically remade several of the Bloons tower defense games. And as it turns out, someone from my community was inspired enough from that video to release their own Scratch game shortly after, which ended up getting an entire channel in my Discord server because of the community's interest. And this video is specifically going to be about that game, which is BTDZ, but I will be happy to cover any other Bloons fan games that you guys send my way as well. The link to my Discord server is in the description of each video for anyone wondering. Now, the title screen is a little bit simple here, but hey, as long as the gameplay is good, that doesn't really matter too much, right? And would you look at that, there's actually an option to enable mastery mode as well, just like we have in BTD5. I can also see a couple UI elements poking through at the top here, but it looks like we've got 5 different maps to choose from, so I might as well go with the first. Oh, and this is pretty cool. Not only do you got easy, medium, and hard difficulty, but also an option for apocalypse as well. I wonder if impoppable difficulty will then be next, but I'm just going to choose easy for now and get an idea of how this game is compared to what I usually play, which of course is BTD5 on Steam. And you already know I've got to start off with the legendary Dart Monkey, or I guess 2 of them really since we got enough money for it, but this is where the game becomes pretty interesting. As you can see, I'm actually using my mouse to control the Dart Monkey, and it has global range, just like a Dartling Gunner does in the regular Bloons tower defense games. This is also mentioned in the description, but I just really wonder what inspired that design choice. Now, I'm also not very used to this style, so I tried turning on fast forward and auto start, which is cool to see those options here, but in doing so, I quickly started bleeding lives when I would miss some of the Bloons with my Dart Monkeys. So I figured I would try getting down a bomb tower as well, but for some reason it wouldn't start firing until the round had already been going on for a little while, and it wasn't like the Bloons weren't close to it when I first placed it down, so this ended up not being as helpful as I had hoped for. However, once I upgraded it into a bigger bomb, all of a sudden it could fire at the beginning of a round just like the Dart Monkey, so I'm not really sure what's going on here, but I'm not going to question it. And I also have to say that the farm is quite a bit cheaper here than I'm used to, so I got one down and upgraded it ASAP. But you might have also noticed that just like in BTD4, this game only has one upgrade path for each tower, and in this game, they max out at tier 3 as well. Also, the banana farm doesn't produce actual bunches of bananas in this game, but rather, it gives you a fixed amount of extra cash at the end of each round, which is also just like the 4th BTD game. But I was quickly starting to bleed through my lives now, even with the bomb tower wiping out large groups of Bloons for us, so I figured I would sell off the 2 Dart Monkeys and try out one of these new towers. And I think the baseball monkey is actually going to hit Bloons as they go by it, but you can see it also actually throws a baseball as well, which is really cool honestly. To have a tower with a long range projectile and the ability to also hit Bloons near it instead of just doing one or the other. And I also really like how this actually feels like a tower that would have been around in the older BTD games as well. Like I could totally see Ninja Kiwi having added the baseball monkey to BTD4 during the expansion update or something. And it seems like that the baseball projectile is also quite effective with their bomb tower as well, which is making it much easier to hold all the Bloons back. And I also really wanted to save up for the 3rd tier upgrade on the baseball monkey, which of course I ended up being just $2 short of, and right when I got it, we actually had to face the first ceramic Bloons as well. It's kind of tough to upgrade a tower while a round is going on, since your mouse is also controlling the aim of everything, but I ended up pulling through here, and if I'm not mistaken, the 3rd tier baseball monkey is doing 3 damage with its baseball projectile instead of just 1 now, which is definitely pretty effective at clearing out all these groups of Bloons. Now I did make the mistake of trying to upgrade my farm during a round, but only ended up leaking 1 life from it, before we had to face our first Moab Bloon, which was funny because I just so happened to be getting a Moab Mauler right at that moment. But also I do have to say, this Moab was a lot weaker than I had been expecting, making it quite easy to take care of. Then I figured I would try another one of these new towers by getting down a Tesla coil, and this looks interesting, an upgrade called Paralysis. Now the Tesla coil's projectile attack isn't super powerful, but check this out. At the end of the round, a few ceramic Bloons get trapped right here on the map by it. And it really is kind of weird how only the last few Bloons seem to get trapped though. I'm not really sure how exactly the calculations are being done for it, but soon I got the lightning shock upgrade to give our Tesla coil an extra attack, although I'm not really sure how effective it actually is, considering that it costs a couple $1,000s. But then it was time to upgrade my banana farm into a republic as well. Now, things were starting to get a bit dicey here on round 35, but the stun from our Tesla coil clutched up, so I figured it was time to get a second one, and if I'm not mistaken, it seems like those Moabs were also getting stunned, which makes this tower even more insane. I was kind of surprised to face a BFB on round 40 though, but it got destroyed almost instantly, and now we have officially beaten easy mode. but this game does have free play as well. So I figured I'd keep on going and focus on getting both of my farms upgraded to tier 3 valuable bananas, which was allowing us to earn money super quickly now. So on round 49, I focused on lining the track with more tier 2 paralysis Tesla coils, although now that I'm watching back the footage to write this script, I really don't think having a bunch of them was allowing us to stun any more balloons than we had been with just one. Of course, all of their extra projectiles are still helping, and when I upgraded them all into tier 3 lightnings, we really gained some extra firepower, which was good because this dense wave of Moabs right here probably would have gotten by our defenses otherwise. And going forward, this was working well, with even a ZOMG getting shredded super easily, which tells me that the Moab class balloons in this game don't have that much health compared to what they normally would in BTD, but this was allowing me to quickly save up money to the point where I now had so much, the game no longer has room to display it. This is actually over 100k, not just 10k here. And at this point, I figured that the game was only going to be getting more intense. So I sold off my baseball monkey to replace it with a tier 3 sun god super monkey. Oh, and I also just wanted to mention this glitch I found. If you enable auto start at the end of a round, it actually skips the next round, allowing me to jump from 69 up to 71, and I do wonder if this could be used to get you further into free play or something. But right now, I'm far from worried about my defenses failing, as they're obliterating the balloons round after round, but I really should check out the second page of towers now as well. And here's another custom one, the turret SV. And also, how come the Dartling Gunner is exactly 958? Was that like a typo? Oh no, the Spike Factory is $864 as well. But let's try out the turret. And come on, I know I just saw a spot where it fits up here, and alright, there we go. Now, when I was recording this footage, I thought it only had 2 upgrades, but as it turns out, there is this bug where towers that are underneath the upgrade button actually get clicked on first, instead of the button being clicked. So when I saw max upgrades appear, I had actually been clicking on the banana farm and thought I was looking at the turret still. And because of this, I didn't really get to give the turret a fair showing as it was only a tier 1, but I also got down a Spike Factory, which might be really broken here in BTDZ, given that the spikes it produces don't disappear between rounds. In fact, are they even disappearing at all? Surely there has to be a sprite limit on Scratch or something, but regardless, I simply let this defense run for a little while as I continued saving up money, because I'm honestly not really sure how much I'm actually going to need to get as far as possible. But I figured that having over 300,000 by round 91 should be enough, so I sold everything off, and at first, I tried placing a super monkey within the range of a monkey village, but I had also wanted to line the entire track with Tesla coils, really thinking at this time that each one of them was going to stack together in terms of how many balloons they could stun. And as you can see, I was not able to fit one next to the super monkey, so I had to do a lot of readjusting as I set up this defense because I'm just really not used to the size of each tower in the game and how to best fit them with each other, but ultimately, this is what I ended up settling on. And most of these towers you'll recognize, but I also did end up getting a few Arctic wins, as they actually have the ability to slow down Moab class balloons in this game, making them almost certainly an essential to free play. And as I was getting this last village, you can really see just how much I was struggling not to accidentally click on the towers behind the upgrade button, which of course is that bug I mentioned a few minutes ago. And after I had gotten it upgraded, we were now off to the races. And in retrospect, I really think you might only need a single Tesla coil for the same effect as me spamming them like this, because again, like I was saying earlier, it really does seem like now that I've reviewed this footage that a bunch of them only had the same effect as one. And of course, I could still totally be wrong about that as well. I mean, it's hard for me to tell right now because we're destroying the balloons so quickly, but yeah, I just wish I understood this game a little bit better than I do. Of course, this is literally my first attempt, so it's not like I should expect to know everything, but still. Now, I really can't believe we didn't lose when some balloons slipped by here on round 182, which goes to show just how valuable that Spike Factory actually is. But also, like, I was pretty certain that the end had to be near when I saw this happen as well. I even turned off fast forward mode for a bit, along with moving my mouse from pointing directly at the end of the map to now being pointed right at where the balloons were getting stunned. And I honestly wasn't really sure what the optimal positioning would be for all our towers, but I guess having it like this is actually insanely better, because after a little while of having fast forward mode turned off, we still weren't really getting close to losing. So I turned it back on, and let me tell you, this game was about to last for a whole lot longer than I ever expected. And while it was running, I was also curious about the overall record, which I found out is actually a little over around 500, and that's honestly insane to think about, that somebody has already pushed the limits of this game like that. Apparently there is a map that allows you to activate a temple on it, which is the one that they used, so I'm sure that did help out some as well. But honestly, I couldn't really believe how far we were getting on this first try, with me even surpassing the mark set by the game's creator at round 316. In fact, he was even surprised that I was getting this far on the first map at all, which is honestly a cool feeling, and also, I am going to be adding a leaderboard for this game in my own server, especially because each round goes by so quickly, making it a lot more accessible than regular free play. Like, it literally only took me about 1 hour to get from round 91 up to 389. Where you can see the game is actually experiencing a huge lag spike. I'm guessing because all of my Spike Factory's projectiles were being exploded at once, but we did just barely survive here before ultimately losing to round 390. And given that I was able to make it so far on the first map, I really wanted to try out map 4 with the temple that you can activate now. So I started my attempt out here with the Dart Monkey and a banana farm, and with this map being a good bit longer than the first, I could be pretty greedy with my farming as well, especially since the Bloons have to travel down and then back up here in a straight line. And already you can see how much of a better start I was off to this time, and my plan was to take advantage of the extra space that's available off screen in order to fit the most towers possible. But I noticed that once I had placed this Super Monkey in the corner, it didn't seem to actually be firing any projectiles, and I'm not sure if this is like the same as the bomb tower not firing until Bloons got close to it on the last try, but even once I had upgraded the Super Monkey into a laser vision, it still didn't seem to be very helpful. And considering that I was also losing lives here, I figured I would just restart the attempt, and this time I went for a defense that should be cheaper and more effective by simply upgrading our Dart Monkey into the tier 3 triple dart, along with getting a second one as well, and you can see just how powerful this upgrade really is for the early rounds. And this allowed me to very quickly build up my banana farms, giving me tens of thousands of extra dollars to work with by round 25. So I began setting up my Tesla coils along the track, along with getting up a Super Monkey, which is now firing just fine as well. So I guess being placed off screen was causing it to glitch before or something. Maybe the projectiles weren't ever getting to spawn on screen. I'm really not sure how that works. But my farms were making over $15,000 at the end of each round now, so I immediately upgraded my Super Monkey into a Sun God, got even more farms, and began saving up money. And with just how quickly these rounds go, that was an incredibly fast process. Now, instead of me having a little under 400,000 by round 91 this time, I had nearly 800,000 by round 57, which is where I sold off everything on the map in order to build up what I was hoping at the time to be the best sacrifices for the temple. I really didn't know what I needed though, so I simply bought one of every single tier 3 tower, and yes, I even put down a pile of road spikes as well, but apparently the temple actually has degrees like a Paragon in BTD6, and I only got 19, so that is definitely a shame. My money is also going crazy now as well, so I guess once you get the temple, you just have infinite money anyways, and I do also have to say that even as a degree 19, it's already quite powerful against the Bloons. And then of course I wanted to also try to build the best defense that I could outside of the temple as well, and in retrospect, I still really don't think getting all these Tesla coils was necessary, given what I now know, but all in all, I think this defense should still be pretty solid, and now it's just a matter of waiting to see how far it can actually get us. I did also go and ask the game's creator about the temple sacrifices, and this is what they told me was actually needed, so yeah, I was definitely just a little bit short on that. And I do also gotta ask you to consider dropping a like on the video if you've been enjoying it up to this point, and maybe even subscribing to the channel as well. But we did get past round 300 without having lost any lives this time, which I figured was a really good sign. And it wasn't until round 330 where some Bloons ended up slipping through and costing us just 21 lives, once again proving just how valuable that the Spike Factory actually is. And the interesting thing is that I actually didn't notice when that initially happened either, so I didn't even change anything at all, but somehow we kept on surviving a ton more rounds without us leaking any more lives at all. So I guess the RNG also plays a really huge role when you get this far into free play in BTDZ. I did eventually go and actually replace a couple of my Tesla coils with more Spike Factories, although I'm not even sure if this is worth it, because I still don't know what the maximum number of spiked balls that you can actually have on the track is. But I was happy to see that I did end up breaking the round 400 mark on this attempt, and was pretty hopeful I had a chance at actually reaching the record as well. I also got a lot more spiked ball factories, but my hopes were quickly dashed when I lost nearly all of my lives on round 411 before round 412 ultimately marked our demise. And that's kind of crazy to me how I barely ended up getting further here than I did on my first try as well. And now that it's the next day, I've actually just gotten all the editing up to this point done, so I really do want to give it one more try using everything that I now know. and the first thing I did was follow what Winter told me to do for the temple sacrifices, and I think that the number I got was 70 something, despite it just looking like a 7 because of the temple's beam cutting off the second number in that. But yeah, this thing is quite clearly insanely powerful now, so I'm pretty excited already. And beyond that, I got to work setting up what I now really believe should be a pretty optimal defense in this game by first getting monkey villages at the top of the map, because as you might notice, the energy beacon upgrade actually makes their physical model move up even higher than I'd already placed it. So that allows me to fit 3 super monkeys up here at the top as well. And then I got some more villages and sun gods around the temple where they also fit, along with making sure to line the track with Arctic Wind ice monkeys so that they can use their attack to slow down balloons as they pass by. Now, I also had a decent amount of spike factories, along with a Darling Gunner as well, which ironically is the only tower that does target balloons on its own in this game, and after that, we were off to the races. But one thing I noticed after a decent amount of rounds is the fact that all of these spike factories producing projectiles really does seem to slow the game down, so these rounds were actually taking a good bit longer than usual. But what I found even stranger is the fact that somehow there were enough balloons on just round 129 to end up causing an incredibly huge lag spike before actually causing us to leak a small amount of lives. And I really have no idea how the balloons already managed to get through our defenses this early, but this isn't about to be the part of the video where I tell you that I was wrong about the Tesla coils and I actually needed more of them, or just how my idea was bad in general. No, not at all, my friend. In fact, what actually ended up happening is that our defense ran long enough for one of your YouTube comments to pop up as a notification on the side of the screen, and after that, we easily cruised past the round 200 mark without even losing any more lives. It wasn't until things got crazy once it got on round 219 that we actually lost another small amount of them, which is honestly a better sign than you'd think, considering how effective the spike factories have really been at saving us from losing a lot more lives. And sure enough, this defense continued pushing forward without having to worry about any more of the balloons getting through. In fact, what happened first is that we got another new comment replacing the first one over there on the right side, but finally, on round 283, we did end up leaking another small amount. But even now, we still have 145 lives, although to be fair, the last attempt didn't see us losing any until we had already surpassed round 300. But sure enough, this defense continued pushing forward well past that round 300 mark itself, and now we've got a comment popping up for a different video, but I finally got back from my walk and actually deleted those notifications before we leaked just another 21 lives on round 351. And honestly, I don't want to continue being so repetitive, because time and time again, the same thing would happen. Our game would get slowed to a crawl by all the spike projectiles being produced every round, and then we would eventually leak some lives. Although to be fair, I actually surpassed round 400 before that could even happen again, and I did lose some lives around 411 just like I had on the last attempt, but this time I still had 89 lives left, and 412 was not enough to take me down either. Now at this point, I really wanted to ask the current record holder, Kevaca, I think that's how you pronounce it, but I'm probably totally off. But I wanted to ask them what they had actually done to achieve their world record of round 529, but at the same time, I also wanted to wait until I had actually surpassed it myself, so you guys wouldn't think I was cheating. And as our defense crossed the round 500 mark, with 54 lives still intact, my confidence was definitely soaring. And yeah, sure enough, while I did lose another 30 lives on round 514, I was able to end up surpassing the round 529 mark. But of course, I really wasn't sure just how much further this defense was going to get, because realistically speaking at this point, one more leak from the balloons is going to spell disaster and also a total game over. But somehow, this defense continued pushing forward round after round, which eventually got to a point where the game was lagging so badly that each round was taking nearly a minute apiece. I know that isn't anything compared to BTD 5 or 6 free play, but still, for this game, that's actually insane. However, I did end up becoming the first person to ever achieve round 600, which was honestly pretty cool to see. And ultimately, it was on round 606 that the balloons finally pushed past our defenses, causing me to, well, of course, lose. Now, make sure you check out BTDZ for yourself in the description of this video, because I really want to see just how far we can all push that record together.